starting up here. What I'm going to do...
Send it out.
Yeah, so I will quickly... Look at that picture of us. We look great.
Fantastic.
Okay. So, should be going live here in just a second. Okay, yeah, we're
Hear
good.
it running.
Yeah, my computer. Okay, wait, so now we go to this link here. Share that. And then we'll also share it in the... And we are good to go. Okay, let's see if anybody is here. Should be able to refresh, and we'll be good to go. See if anybody is tuned in.
Is that the delay?
Or
is it live now?
So it's live right now. So we are live.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. What is up, guys? Welcome to the stream. My name is Trader Nick. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the stream. I am joined here today with our stock analyst. This is Frank. He does quite a bit of stock stuff. Frank, say hello.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we had Frank come on before. We had him here for a podcast, but we were not doing... we weren't doing live video then. We were just doing a regular podcast, just kind of voiceover. But we are here live, and we are here hanging out, and we're going to be just talking. Like I said, Frank is a stock trader. I'm more of a Forex trader. But a lot of you guys might have followed Frank already in his live room, or his analysis room. But he does a lot of great stuff. Frank, go ahead and just for those people who don't know you, give a little introduction about yourself, how long you've been trading stocks, all of that good stuff.
Hey, yeah, so I've been trading for... Let's see, how many years? It's been like 3 maybe. Yeah, I started up my channel in last November. Hoping to get more followers, growing slowly though.
Yep. Well, one day at a time. Frank has been doing... How long have you been trading stocks exactly? Do you know?
Let's see, real stocks I'd say 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
I've been studying and doing demo accounts for like, let's say 4.5, 5 years.
Yeah. And would you say you're more of a intraday swing trader or longer term trader or investor?
I only invest in a few things, but I'd say that for the most part it's a swing trade, like between weeks and months sometimes.
Yep. So Ken is in the chat. He says, hi, what's up, Frank? How old are you?
Oh, is that them?
Yeah, so you can see the chat right there.
Oh, hey, Ken, how are you? How old am I? I'm 19.
Yep, so Frank is young, but he's been doing this, like he said, for quite some time. We both actually have dads who are active in the markets, you could say. So that's kind of been our own, where we found it initially, at least for me. I think that's how you found it, right? Mm-hmm. Initially? So, yeah. But, yeah, Frank is actually good at what he does. He's great with his stocks. He's great with analysis. Ken says he's 54.
I'm 54.
Hey, Ken, it's never too young to start. Ken is a member, actually, in our VIP group. He's been with us for a few days, and I can say just by the fact that he's been showing up constantly to these live analysis, the live analysis that I do and all the videos and stuff, that he's very, very active and very, very committed to what he does. And really, that's what's going to make the difference.
Drunken Monkey. I don't have YouTube.
Yeah, he doesn't have it yet, but maybe we'll see that in the future.
Maybe.
So, but yeah, so here he is. This is the first time. I'm sure many of you guys have ever seen Frank. Frank and I go way back. We have been friends for a long time. We actually both started out looking at stocks. Many of you guys already know about myself that I've already, or that I started trading stocks. That was my initial interest. And I went over to currencies, and Frank has dabbled with currencies, but he's more of a stock trader. That's just what he has specialized in. But go into more detail, and I kind of cut you off because we were talking about the chat. So you said you're a swing trader. What else would you say about your own style of trading?
You mean like the technique? Or?
Technique and just kind of your preferences. Do you like timing, current market types? What do you like to trade? All that sort of stuff.
American stocks is what I do. I don't really focus on entries as much as I'm sure we've talked about this before on another podcast, but
yep.
Yeah, so entries I would say are not as important as like a longer term perspective when you're looking at stocks. Because when people enter a trade, they think the setup is perfect and it starts going against them, they start to, they get scared and then they get out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and one thing that I'd say, just from, you and I talk off the stream quite a bit, and one of the things that I know that you stick to is not only looking at technicals but also employing the fundamentals of things and looking at the underlying company. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, how you like to do that.
Yeah, so I usually do research on companies. Sometimes it's strictly technical, but I like to do some fundamental. I like to look at earnings. I like to look at recent news and what analysts think of them, and try to get the sentiment, the idea of the overall sentiment for the company.
Right.
Nothing really special. I mean, I'm 19. I don't really know. I'm not like some expert, but I mean, I feel like I know enough of what I'm doing, and I mean, it's been working out so far these past 3 years. So, I mean, I'm not going to change it.
Right, and he's definitely on the humble side because Frank has hit a couple home runs in the world of investing and trading. So, leading into that, I know that one of your specialties has been pot stocks. So why don't you talk a little bit about your pot stock world? And before you answer that, guys, if you guys have any questions for myself or Frank, especially since he is our guest today, ask away. He's here. We're looking at the chat right now. We've got it pulled up so we can discuss with you guys. So if you see any questions, we'll be answering them.
Stocks seem to be much more difficult to trade versus Forex.
Ooh, good question. Yeah, so Ken asks stocks versus Forex, which is easier or harder? You can answer that. I'd like to hear what you say, actually.
I think it's just opinion. I mean, you like Forex, I do stocks. I'm more comfortable with stocks because I've been doing them for years, and I tried Forex. I didn't really do so well, and I don't know. I feel more comfortable with stocks because I feel like you can get an underlying idea of companies, and I just like the whole idea of American stock market and companies, and versus like, trading currencies and trading volatile news and
right.
things like that.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I personally gravitated to Forex because I do like those shorter term trades. I like to be in and out of the market. I like to be, involved. And for me, sure, I still trade stocks. I still look at the stock market, and I have money invested at all given times. I have a portfolio and all that, and I share that with you guys occasionally. But personally, my preference is towards Forex because I like the fact that there are multiple sessions in a day. For example, with stocks, you have the New York session, and that's pretty much it. You have that 9:30 to 4 o'clock window, and you really only get that major volatility. If you're looking for shorter term movements, you get it at that 9:30 spike and that 4 o'clock close. So for me personally, I like to get in and out of the action. So Forex has always fit me, and I also, I like studying currencies and global macroeconomics. That's kind of something that's interesting to me. Let's take a look at some of these questions.
Yeah, there's a lot now.
Abdullah says, hello to Frank. Good to see you, Abdullah. Welcome to the stream.
Hey, Abdullah.
Yeah, good to see all of you guys tuning in. Thanks so much for being here, guys. There is a link before we answer some more of these questions. There's a link down below. If you have Telegram, or if you don't, you can get it. It's a free app. Frank has a free analysis room where he does all sorts of stocks. He does all sorts of analysis and good stuff there. I guarantee you will not, you won't regret getting in there and looking at what Frank's got in there. He's got some great stuff, great tips. I go in there myself on a regular basis because you can never stop learning, So let's take a look at some of these questions here. Ken's got another one for us. Oh, that was already the one he said. So stocks seem much more difficult. We already kind of talked about that. Abdullah says hello. Drunken Monkey says, so you started at 16. How much did you start with? That's a pretty good
16.
Question.
I wasn't trading. I was doing a fake account, a demo one. I actually had my dad buy me some shares at a point. I was actually in Snapchat was my first investment.
I remember that.
Where I actually put real money into it, and I had to pay my dad, and he would, he bought, I think, 10 shares maybe.
Yeah. And what was their IPO price? Do you remember?
It was, I think it opened at 24. And then it went up to like 30 something, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be rich."
You had that moment where, and I'm sure everybody in this chat room can realize that moment, or they know that moment for themselves. For those of you guys who are traders or investors, you have that moment where something goes into the green, and you think you're like, I am the top dog. I'm gonna live off this. And I don't know if anybody else relates to this, but listen, this is something that I did, and I don't know if Frank did this, but this is something that I did, and I know a lot of other people have done this. When I made my first profitable day, I think I made something around the tone of like $5 or $6. And I said, okay, well, if I just put in 10 times the money and I made $50 a day, I got my calculator out and everything, right? I got my calculator out and I said there's 280 some trading days in the year. And I did 50 times 280. And I said, hey, if I just made $50 a day, and it looks so easy in hindsight, because when you make that profit, you think you're on top of the world, and then you know what happened. What happened next was Snap.
And then the next day, it opened up at like 15 or something. And I was like, I can hold on to this, and then it went down to 14 and 13, and by the time it was at 10 or 9, I was like, Dad, have you seen Snap? And he was like, oh, I sold out of it before it got into the tens, and I was like, thank God. And I had to pay him back what I lost. But.
Yeah, that's hilarious. No, I mean, but the thing is, you can't, nobody can judge you for that, because there are much worse stories out there for people who started trading later in the game, right? Because when you're young, you don't have any money to lose. That's kind of the positive of starting young, learning young, because everybody needs to learn with a live account. There's no question, that demo is important. It has its place, but there's a difference in trading that live account on Forex or on stocks, right? So, having that experience is important, but it's a good thing that you didn't lose more money than you did, you know? And everybody has something to learn from that. So let's get into a little bit more of these questions.
Nicholas Gunter.
Yep. So what does he say?
Thoughts on trading right now in the choppy market?
Good question.
Yeah. So with this whole China, the trade war, Trump threatening to put on 25% increase in tariffs, I think. I mean, it's just threats back and forth, and it's just gonna. You already saw the outcome of it, of the potential threats on Monday and Tuesday, how it went.
Right.
How it came down. I mean, it had a good bounce today, but I mean, I think as long as this keeps going on, it's gonna be unpredictable. But right now, I saw the dip. I use the RSI tool, by the way. I saw it come down, cross under 30, and I was like, well, I mean, I think stocks look pretty oversold for the short run. So I loaded up on a few things, and it was green today. I was up quite a bit. I was happy.
Just curious, did you close any positions today on this spike to the upside?
I closed one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just curious about that, because sometimes people will ask, what do you do? If you catch a bounce like that, what do you do? Do you hold on to that win, or do you try and ride it back up? And I think actually a good thing to add on to that, in some ways I would say that's probably a good idea to kind of get those positions out of the way, for the exact reason that Nicholas said. He said that this is a choppy market currently. So it might just be at this time, just my opinion, it might be a good time to just get profits off the table when you can, especially with, like you said, that uncertainty that's going on with the trade war. So, let's see. Drunken Monkey says, that's nice that he believed in you and got you started, your breakthrough. Probably talking about your dad there. That is definitely an important thing, is having somebody who's, he probably knew that, mistakes are going to be made, but that's part of the journey, And Drunken Monkey says, LOL Nick, that's how my thought process went starting up as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody does that.
It's common. It was me too.
Yeah, I mean, you make a green day and you're like, oh man, I can live off this, and reality hits you really hard. So CJ said that he just joined your Telegram link and will be referring more people. That's awesome. By the way, if you're just
thank you, CJ.
If you're just CJ is actually a long-term member with me. He's awesome. He's actually helped a lot of people join our group. He's brought a lot of people that he knows and recommended them in there. So CJ, shout out to you. Thanks again for supporting both myself and now Frank. So let's see. What else? Do we have another question there?
Abdullah, can we see
25,200 in the Dow? Good question.
Let me look at the Dow right now.
I have not looked at it myself either. Guys, I do appreciate you tuning into the stream. By the way, my name is Trader Nick. If you're just tuning in, we do all sorts of Forex analysis, and now we have some stock analysis too coming into the the World of Trader Nick YouTube channel here. I do appreciate all of you guys for being here, supporting what we do. I'm here with my friend Frank. He does all sorts of stock stuff and analysis stuff. He's kind of our stock analyst for the group, the community VIP group that I do offer. By the way, if you're not already in his link, by the way, you can get that link down below. There's a free Telegram group for you to follow what Frank is doing, kind of analysis from him. So if you'd like to hear more from Frank, that's the way to do it. And if you'd like to hear more from me or just get more of this sort of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, support the channel here, and make sure you like this video, because just so you guys know, when I go back and look at my videos, the ones that have more likes than others, I try to mimic and make more of those because it's clearly what people are liking. Frank, what do you have to say about the Dow?
Abdullah, back to the Dow. It did touch 25,200 on was it yesterday? Yes.
25,200, I believe.
Yes, it touched that and then bounced up. I mean, it was already there. I don't know, after this initial bounce up, I'd say if the whole China trade war thing starts to die down, I could see it going back up. Honestly, I could see it hitting resistance and then consolidating around 26,000. But yeah, I mean, tensions are bad. I could see it could cross below. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
I could see it touching 25,200 within the next few days. I mean,
Abdullah and all of you guys who are interested in, like we're talking about right now, you got more content like that in Frank's room. So maybe you'll do a Dow Jones in the future. So could get some future analysis. So stay tuned in his link for sure. One thing I do want to say in regards to the stock market, because I do keep up and I do, I'm active in the stock market as well, more in the investing side, a little bit slower term. But I will say that something that I caught on to was that the fact that people have been pointing out that just the other week, I read an article that said that there's nothing here to stop the market, right? We've had this amazing run up. For those of you guys who follow stocks, the U.S. stock market has been on an absolute tear. We hit some lows in December and we bounced off those lows in January and just pile drived all the way back up, right? We made it all the way back to the high point. And I read this article and I want to see what you think about this, because what was interesting is this article said that there's nothing here to stop this market from continuing going up. They kind of addressed the fact that there's not major news. Unemployment rates came out and they looked good, and all these sorts of fundamental things that were saying, the economy is fantastic, the thing is perfect, nothing but up from here. And when I saw that personally, I'm, obviously looking in hindsight, the markets are down from that point. But to me, that was like kind of, I didn't place a short or anything, but I was kind of like, this is going to change, right? Things don't stay that way.
you don't trust articles. You don't trust news. Especially the people on CNBC, Squawk Alley. I feel like they're just trying to get you hyped for something that's going to not do so well in the near future. And then once it's not doing so well and they tell you, yeah, this didn't work out, is when they start buying it back up.
Right.
It's almost like a relationship with the news and the banks.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, and that's actually a really good point. When I saw that, to me, that was like, when things seem too good to be true, especially in the world of trading and investing, you and I both know this, they almost certainly are. When things are too good to be true, that's not how the world of money works. If things were too good to be true, everybody would be rich, So let's take a look at some of these questions here.
This one, CJ.
CJ
again.
says, I'm having trouble signing up with Robinhood because I'm not from the U.S. CJ is from Jamaica.
You can only trade in the American market on Robinhood.
There are ways to trade. I believe it's CFDs. There's ways to trade outside of the U.S. You can trade the U.S. stock market, but it's kind of through like a third-party broker, kind of. At least that's the way that I know most commonly. Not my specialty area, but.
And if not, I also use TD. TD Ameritrade is a good one, but if you want low commissions, I think Ally is like $3.95 a trade. It's not free like Robinhood, but I think it's the cheapest one out there.
Right. In fact, actually, that brings up a good point. When talking about Forex versus stocks, I will say that one thing that I like about Forex is the low commission structure. It's very, very cheap to trade Forex relative to stocks, unless you're using Robinhood, because Robinhood is free, but it's not the best platform. You kind of give and take, So if you're looking for the best platform, Robinhood's probably not the best.
Well, I'd say for beginners, and it's used for my teaching account to like, it's very simple. Anyone, I mean, in the U.S. can use it. It's very convenient. You don't have to pay. There is some give and take, but I mean, overall, when you're swing trading, when you're doing something like I'm doing, the 2 or 3 cents doesn't really matter with this sort of technique.
Right. Absolutely. And Robinhood can even be good for swing trading, right? Because you don't need to be, instant, up to date, fast feed broker for swing trading, right? You can relatively, as long as the markets are open and you're looking to, you don't have to be pinpoint with your prices. Robinhood's perfect for that. So, and that's what I've used Robinhood for as well. CJ says he has a portfolio with a third-party broker at the moment, but was interested in handling it myself. Okay. Yeah, I mean, whatever works for you. I can't, obviously I can't speak for what's, the options in Jamaica, but let me know what you find out, CJ. I'd be interested to hear. Okay, so let me make sure that I didn't miss anything. I believe Ken had something. When you say you didn't take a short, is that a sell? Yes. So with the stock market, you can, just like in currencies, you can short or you can long, right? In the stock market, taking a short sell means that you're borrowing shares from your broker, selling them, and then you're trying to buy them back at a lower price. But essentially, yes, you're selling. That's the easy answer. But I did not take a sell at the top. I do actually have some short S&P trades open. They're slightly better than break even right now, especially with this dip. They were a little bit negative, but it is what it is. Short in the S&P. What's your opinion on that?
I would say it was a good idea a week ago.
I think about 5 days ago would have been the perfect time to short.
I actually mentioned in my channel, I think might have been 2 weeks ago, so I was a little early, but you can't short on Robinhood, but on my teaching account, I did take a small position in SPXU, which is the inverse sort of ETF of how the S&P 500 acts. So when S&P goes down, SPXU goes up. So yeah, I was in that for a little bit, but I got out to get more capital. I wanted to save up,
right,
and reinvest when the markets came down, and here they are down. So I bought some more things. I loaded up a good bit. Right.
And Frank and I both kind of have a similar mindset in the sense that Forex and stocks, we like to buy things on discount, right? We don't like to buy breakouts, sell breakouts. There's nothing wrong necessarily, guys, with buying or selling breakouts. I know many people who trade breakouts successfully, but Frank and I both share the similar interest in getting stuff on discounts, in trends, and all that sort of thing. So that's kind of our own style that we do share. We both swing traders. We both like to get discounts on movements. Is that right? Yeah,
for sure.
Trying to be like Warren Buffett out here. Let's see if we have any more questions here. So Drunken Monkey says they use news to drive markets a certain way or direction. I'm assuming you're meaning the stock market.
Yes, I think so too.
Oh, okay. And CJ also asked, so would you say that stocks are more fundamentally based or similar technicals to Forex? Like, do the trend lines and support and resistance apply?
Yes, I think they do. But I don't think they're it's not the pinpoint exact answer to the trade, which is why if you ever see me trade, if you join my premium group, you'll see that once I get in, I usually get down a little bit. I'm in a little bit of drawdown at the beginning, but eventually, for the most part, they end up working out. I end up green. But yes, I think fundamental is definitely more important in stocks. I couldn't really tell you about Forex. I'm not very familiar, but I know for sure if you want to know a company's worth and you want to put your money into it, I'd say fundamentals are very important in the U.S. stock industry, and actually any stocks, like Chinese too.
Right. And to the point about Forex, it is certainly fundamentally driven as well. Both are fundamentally driven. But I would say, adding on to that, that although fundamentals do play a role, in some ways fundamentals kind of have more of a longer term perspective, whereas technicals can be a great way in the shorter term to kind of identify movements in line with those fundamentals. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So like when I take trades, it's mostly technical based because I'm not in for long. But take a look at IQ. I got in that because I saw good fundamentals. I bought it at 15, sold it at 18, I believe. Went up to 20, then it went up to over 30. I was like, oh, dang, I should have stayed in.
Right, you missed out on it.
Yeah.
But sometimes just having a good profit and taking a winner where it's a winner is it's hard to beat that, because there's, ultimately there's times where it's the other way around, right? Where you have a loser and you have to deal with that. So let's answer some more of these questions. I don't want to get too far behind. So CJ says I'll be in the U.S. all summer starting tomorrow. Maybe I can sign up then. Oh, that'd be awesome. I don't know how that would work. I think you need some sort of details as far as being a U.S. Citizen, I think. But it's been a while since I signed up with Robinhood. But let's see. OLA 2K says, hello guys, what are your thoughts on trading penny stocks? I'm in no rush, but I've been told that penny stocks can have a higher return than Forex. So why don't you answer the penny stock side, and I'll talk about the higher returns.
Yes. I did trade penny stocks at a time, and I got screwed.
I think I remember that story too.
But
I did too.
But I did invest in one penny stock. It was considered a penny stock. It was at $3.
Yep.
It's now at $9. I'm still in it.
Yep.
So it's more of an investment. So I guess if you're looking at penny stocks, I don't think trading is the way to go, in my opinion. I mean, I got screwed. I'm bad at trading penny stocks, but I don't know. I think you have to. It depends on the company too. I think it's all of a conditional sort of situation. What were you gonna say about higher returns?
Yeah. So just to add on to that, with trading penny stocks are kind of like, in the world of currency, it's like trying to trade exotic pairs, like the Turkish lira, like the South African rand, even kind of the currency pairs that are a little bit more considered dangerous, right? Penny stocks are highly, highly volatile, and they can be, trading at $1 one day and trading at 5 cents the next day. They're just so volatile, and there's a lot of pump and dump action going on where people are just, they're hyping up a stock just so that they can get themselves out of it at a higher price, right? Let's say, they start pumping a stock at $1, somebody's loaded up, so they start hyping it up, they get it up to like $3 and they sell out, and then just, everybody else sells out and it goes right back down to nothing. You have a lot of that stuff going on in the penny stock world, a lot of manipulation, a lot of dangerous stuff there. So personally, I'm not really interested in trading penny stocks. I know Frank is not either. I think that there's a lot more opportunity trading bigger name stocks, trying to take advantage of dividends, trying to take care of swings. I think there's more potential in stuff that's a little bit more conservative and not so risky to your capital. Holding penny stocks overnight probably gives you some really, really high risk. Anxiety as well, yes. Okay, and to answer that second part, I'm in no rush, but I've been told penny stocks can have higher returns than Forex. Here's the thing. That is not true, because penny stocks, yes, they're moving more or less, but technically with leverage, which is huge in Forex, right? Some brokers offer you 1 to 500 leverage, massive leverage, which means that you can take whatever amount of money and you can make it as big returns or small returns as you possibly want, right? The same applies to Bitcoin. People say that Bitcoin gives you the opportunity to make a lot of money really quickly. Well, technically, so do many things, but that's not necessarily a better thing, right? Trying to go for massive returns really quickly generally does not work out in the end. By the way, guys, if you are VIP members, we actually just had a USD JPY trade closeout. I am going to go ahead and alert that. Frank Abdullah says, what do you think of Tesla? Actually, let's make sure we answer Nicholas. Did either of you buy that Bitcoin low?
I don't touch crypto. Neither does Nick.
Not actively. I do have some investments, very small. But no, I did not actively trade recently on Bitcoin. However, I do have some crypto investments for the long term, but very, very small amounts. Frank, what do you think about Tesla?
That's a good question.
Have you looked into it at all?
I've never really. I've seen them as like an innovative company, but I've never seen them as a sound company. I mean, just look at their board. They don't like Elon Musk. They're not happy with him. It's kind of like the power is kind of, wishy-washy between all the people on the board. And I don't even know if he's CEO anymore, is he? Did they tell him to step down?
I'm not actually sure.
Because his Twitter page is like is just I don't know, it's so obscure and
yeah, so not a huge opinion on Tesla. I think the cars are really cool.
I do too. I just
Tesla cars are cool.
The company, I don't know.
Have you ever been inside of a Tesla?
Nope.
I have, and it was a really cool experience. They have like the screen. It's like very little buttons. It's all like digital, all electronic.
How do you turn on the engine? Do you just like?
I don't know.
Does the key just hover?
I don't remember. That's a good question. Maybe we should go check out Tesla. That'd be cool to like walk in there.
Tesla shop.
It'd be cool to make a video of Frank and I going to a Tesla shop and like looking at some of the cars. Ooh, that'd be awesome.
I want to open the doors too because the handles don't stick out, right?
Yeah.
How does it work?
I can't remember. It was a while.
You grab it and it comes out, or does it just sense your hand?
Don't some of the doors open weird too?
Yes, some open like this.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Tesla cars are super cool, and they're really quiet too. So I like their product, but I know that the company is hurting for money. I know that that's a major concern. But other than that, I don't know too much more on Tesla.
Yeah. Elon Musk, he's a visionary. He's a genius, but
very smart guy.
He started PayPal. Not a good businessman.
Did you know that? He started PayPal.
He did?
Mm-hmm.
See, genius.
Right there. That's huge. But
moving on.
Yeah, what does Ken have to say?
Briefly mentioned.
Yeah, we already got Abdullah.
Okay. Ken says you briefly mentioned pot stocks. Can you talk more about that? Pot stocks was actually kind of the reason why I was into stocks, is because basically I wanted to find some innovative company, like when I was younger, like Snap. I thought it was revolutionary, which I mean look how that turned out, but
well, sometimes you make mistakes. That's okay.
But then I looked at an industry. I looked at an up and coming emerging industry that had a lot of potential and a lot of hype behind it. And I was excited to see the pot stocks. When I told my dad about it, he was like, "Are you crazy?" And then a couple months later, it turned out he was doing business with some pot companies.
Yeah. And one thing that I think is interesting is, sometimes those investments that you make when you're young, this is not my original thought. I actually got this off somebody else's podcast. I can't remember who, but somebody was saying that a lot of the best investments happen when you're a young person and you kind of see what the trends are within the youth community, right? And you make investments accordingly. So in some ways, pot stock investments, we'll have to see later on, but Frank and I are pretty much in agreement that there's a good chance that thing, that pot stocks overall go up because of the fact that marijuana legalization in America is something that's a good chance of happening.
And it's legal in how many states now?
I don't know, but I know Massachusetts was a new one recently.
Okay.
So Massachusetts is legal for recreational use. So, but every time that happens, that's you got to think of the fact that that's potential market cap going up.
No, it's huge.
Right? Yeah, because that's a huge market that just opens up to new people.
Exactly. Those pot stocks were the best thing that happened to me, trading-wise. I could go into it, but I don't know if we'd have the time. Honestly.
Well, I know you mentioned, just to keep it brief, I know you mentioned Aurora Cannabis. That was the $3 stock. That went to $9. That was a massive, massive gain. And what was cool is pot stocks before that, they were down, right? They were getting beat up.
When I bought into it initially, I think I was down a good bit actually.
Yeah,
and
I remember
this
that.
well before it became like popular. They were trading at like $1 to $2, going down, and you're like, well, it just looks like I'm an idiot trading pot stocks. But I was like, I'm not gonna trade these pot stocks if I'm thinking long term. I'm not gonna like let emotions take over.
Absolutely.
So I stayed in a few things, and it really paid off in the end.
Yeah.
I was really fortunate to close a really profitable trade on some of them.
Yeah, no, the pot stock stuff is super interesting, and honestly, I hold a couple pot stocks for the long term, just because I think that long term there's that potential to get huge. Now I don't hold a lot. You've heard my philosophy about this, and I'm sure some people in the audience have as well. My own personal philosophy is I take a small amount of money that I'm totally willing to lose. If I lose all of it, I'm okay with it, because I think that there's hundreds of times the potential on the upside than losing that money, right?
And that's the way to look at it. When I first started, I took maybe $500, and I said, when I put this in the market, it's gone. I'm accepting it as not there anymore. Like, I lost this amount of money. It's no longer in my possession. So whatever happens to it happens. I don't know. It's sort of like a trader's psychology to get myself
right
from like being scared. And
right, because you almost need that with pot stocks, because those things can really move. You can be up a lot of money, you can be down a lot of money really quick. Ken says, how much would it take to invest in that? With stocks, you don't need a whole bunch of money to get involved, especially if you use something like Robinhood, and I'm pretty sure Ken is in the US, so you should have the access to that. By the way, guys, just so it's clear, I know you guys already know this, but just so nobody is assuming, Frank and I are not telling you anything that you should or should not buy. We are just simply sharing our own experiences, our own thoughts and ideas here, and this is for entertainment. But it's just something to say, because sometimes people will go, Nick, your stock is down or whatever, and Frank and I, we are not magicians, right? The best traders, and this is maybe something that you can talk about briefly, the best traders they're not necessarily right all the time, right?
Look at Warren Buffett.
Exactly.
Kraft Heinz.
Right.
People are calling him, or saying that was the worst trade he's ever made. They are asking if he's even relevant anymore.
Yeah, just
ridiculous things.
Yeah, and you're talking about a guy who averaged some massive returns. He beat the S&P 500 by a long shot, in the last I don't know, 50 years or however long he's been investing. And he makes one bad call and people are all over him, right? So that's kind of something as a figure in the world of trading and investing. People are gonna jump on you if you make one little mistake, but at the end of the day, you make your own decisions. Frank and I are here just to share our own thoughts and to chat with you guys. So again, do appreciate all of you guys being here. Thanks so much for being here. If you have any questions for Frank or myself, we're here. We're hanging out for a little bit longer here on the charts, on the YouTube, and we're just answering some of you guys' questions. So Nicholas actually mentioned that stores have opened around him in Massachusetts. That's awesome, for recreational marijuana use, which is interesting. Definitely. That's some like first person experience with the changing market of pot stocks. Frank and I are both in Georgia. So
we have yet to experience that.
Right. But interesting that you can see it in your own community, Nicholas. Somebody is sending me a bunch of Telegram messages.
And another reason why, I just want to elaborate on why I was into the marijuana industry in the U.S. is because if you think about it, it's the government, once they can get a hold of the whole industry, and like they would eliminate the black market, they could drive taxes up, they could make a lot of revenue off of the marijuana industry. I'm not saying it's beneficial for the consumer, but companies that are making this, with the government involved, imagine seeing a pack of, I don't know.
yeah.
But it's FDA approved, you know?
Right.
That's just something I thought of, and I just thought how neat that would be. See something like that.
Just from the, anybody can understand that, okay, you have pot stock companies, right? You have companies surrounding themselves around this product, and suddenly your market goes from this circle, right, if the US started to regulate everything, you have this massive sphere to work in, and suddenly there's just so much demand coming through the regulated market, right? So you have lots of opportunities for stocks that are trading around this sort of thing to potentially get huge off of that. I mean, that's not out of the question. Now, let me go back to just quickly my point about that. I took a small amount of money relative to the money that I have, and I invested in some pot stock companies that I personally like. Again, I am totally prepared if I'm wrong about this, if Frank and I are completely incorrect, if we lose everything there, I'm okay with that. But one thing that I say to Frank, Frank and I will text each other back and forth about, one of the pot stocks that we follow, which is CGC. And Frank's like, it's up or it's down. And the thing I always say, my phrase back to Frank is I'm either waiting for 0% on my money, right?
Or 400%.
I always say that, right?
It's always 400. I don't know why. Why not 1,000%?
Maybe I should change it, but then I'll never, it'll be years before I'm out of there. but the whole idea is, right, the potential, the upside is huge for pot stocks, and the downside is you just lose 100%, right? So if you just say to yourself, I mean, that's a lot of, percent, but if you just take your money and you just say, you know what, I'm willing to lose this, I believe the high probability chance that this thing goes up, and the upside potential is massive, right? You combine those things. It's like the ultimate risk per reward, right? Here's your entry, right? Here's your stop loss, and your reward is like way up here, So it's kind of like the ultimate long-term trade. So just an interesting thing. Alex says, I hear Boom Lab is really booming these days. That's funny. Drunken Monkey says he's from California and that it's everywhere. Drunken Monkey also says that in Florida now, and it's everywhere here now too.
CBD is everywhere.
CBD.
We see it here too.
Yeah.
I think I saw it in a gas station once.
Did you really?
Yeah, but you can get it medically, or I guess now you can buy it at gas stations. That's how available it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so just a heads up for those of you guys who are just tuning into the stream, thanks so much for being here. Frank and I are hanging out. Frank is our stock analyst in the Trader Nick community. He's got his own community, though, and I invite all of you guys, if you are just tuning into the stream and you already didn't hear about his link, there's a link down below in the description if you want to hear more from Frank. He's a super guy. He's pretty good in the stock market, so follow him at that link down below in the description. He's got a free Telegram channel for you to follow, and if you're enjoying the content here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, support what we do here on this channel. Yeah, click it. It's like a I wish I had a visual. That'd be cool, but I don't.
You did have it in one of your videos.
I did.
You had an animation come up.
Yeah. You know who actually? Cool. My friend Cody. You remember Cody? Cody has been doing some of the editing work, and I think he might be in the stream right now. Cody does a lot of the editing, and he actually got me looking at that stuff, and he's good with those animations and making them pop up and stuff.
Abdul says, thank you guys. Thank you, Abdul. It was good talking welcome. To you guys.
Yeah, good to see a lot of you guys in here. Nicholas says, yeah, CBD is at the local vitamin store. Interesting.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so if you guys have any questions for us, feel free to ask them. Frank and I are probably going to hang out for just a few more minutes here. Like I said, do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, being here with us on the stream here. I know for many of you guys, it might be like crazy late at night. I know some of you guys are tuning in from Europe and Asia and all over the world, really. So thanks for taking the time to be here with us. For those of you guys who are in the New York area or California area, I'm thanking you, but I'm thanking you less because it's easy for you. I'm just kidding. Thanks for all of you guys for being here. Frank, do you have anything else pressing that you want to talk about? Maybe the S&P?
Something interesting. It's about Amazon.
Okay.
I'm not in Amazon, by the way, but a lot of people say, it's too expensive. What's it at, 1,800
I think
now?
It's at 1,800, yeah.
Yeah, people are saying, it's too high for a stock. They don't want to get in. But, I mean, you can look at... I read an article that said you can look at it like this. It's not necessarily a stock. It could be expensive for a stock, but in his eyes, it was the world's largest and cheapest mutual fund. And when I thought of it that way, I was like, yeah, this guy's got a point.
Yeah, it's interesting.
They're a conglomerate. They're in everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people, especially newer people who are in the markets, they look at something that has a high price tag as it's too high, right? So like Amazon, you mentioned it's 1,800 roughly right now. 1,800 sounds like a lot of money, especially to somebody who doesn't know, what valuation means, right? Evaluating a company. And for Frank and I both, we do, we look at the technicals quite a bit, and looking at the technicals can also be a way to determine oversold and overbought, right? So just because a price is high does not necessarily mean, because you can still get good signals from the technical formations that may be setting up on the charts.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah, so you have that price tag, people get freaked out about it, but there's also the potential that, you haven't looked at the true value. The price itself does not necessarily mean it's high or low, right? So that's actually a good point. Michael says, hi, Nick and Frank. Good to see you, Michael.
Hey,
Welcome.
Michael.
Welcome to the stream. Cool. Yeah, well, I think we talked about a good. One more question that I do want to ask Frank personally. What's your thoughts on the S&P 500 right now? We have seen a pullback in the market. Do you have any opinion there, or are you kind of just sitting out right now?
I'd like to say it's going to go up. Like I said earlier, I said if these tensions continue, which is likely going to happen,
Right, the trade war stuff.
hopefully not as hot as it has been, I could see a nice pullback up to, I can look at it really fast, but see a pullback and then hitting some resistance around, in the S&P probably around, wrong thing. Give me a second. I was looking at the Dow earlier.
Yeah. Because we are just off major highs here. We're pulling back nicely. We are seeing some definite discounts opportunities there in the market.
I can see it. It's going to be hovering. In my opinion, it's going to hover for whoever knows long.
Right, it's going to consolidate for a good bit. That's definitely possible.
If it does come up, I can see the S&P hitting 28.93.
Yeah, I mean that could totally happen. We could come back to test that. Obviously we're not looking at the charts here, but there's a level of support. We've broken through that support. We could come back to at least test that as potential resistance in the coming days or weeks.
It just doesn't look like confidence is very high, so I can't see it, exploding back up.
Right.
But you never know. It's happened before.
Right. The markets have been especially crazy
totally
lately.
Defying logic.
Yeah, here this was, coming into December, and then we came right back up. That those prices just shot right back up.
But yeah, in my opinion, I see it, mostly hovering around the same price it's at. Yeah. Nothing really special.
Okay, well, guys, what you can do, like I said before in the stream, if you do want to follow Frank's analysis and updates, you can do so by clicking the link down below in the description. My Telegram link is also in there if you don't follow that as well. I do more currencies and sometimes indices as well, but Frank is more on the stock side of things, so if you'd like to follow that, if that's something you're interested in learning about, or if you're new to stocks, the best way to start would be to learn from somebody who's been doing it a while. Frank's got a great little link there. You can click it down below and get involved. Also, if you're new to the stream, as always, click that subscribe button and support what we do here on the channel. Guys, I believe we are going to wrap this thing up. I do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in and supporting what we're doing here. Maybe we'll have Frank back soon. This seemed to be pretty entertaining. A lot of people showed up and enjoyed this, I'm sure. A lot of people got a lot of value from the stuff that you were sharing. So do you have anything else you'd like to add? Or?
Yeah, I actually had a lot of fun here. I want to do it again sometime. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys very much again for being here. And we will definitely be catching you on the next stream.
See you guys.
See ya.